Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This meeting is being recorded.
Mr. Grayzel.
Here.
Ms. Guariglia.
Here.
Mr. Ravitz.
Here.
Ms. Wilson. Here. Mayor Gyorfy.
Here. If everyone could please rise for the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Face. Present arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order arms. Forward arms. Parade. Rest.
Chief Scheer, I will turn it over to you.
Just want to thank everybody who took time out of their day and joined us here for this special occasion. And judging from the turnout, I can tell the impact that Officer Adair has had and the impact that Officer Nelson will have, and also the impact that Officer McIver has had. So great to see such a big turnout. I feel like there's a few more people here than were here for my ceremony, but I won't take that personally. But just to give you a brief introduction and tell you a little bit about Officer Adair. I'm sure many of you already know this, but for some that don't, Officer Adair grew up here in Morris Township, graduated from Morristown High School, and upon graduation, attended Montclair State University and attained a bachelor's degree in justice studies. Derek also served our country as a member of the New Jersey Army National Guard, where he earned the rank of sergeant with an honorable discharge. Officer Adair was hired by Morris Township in 2016 and attended the Morris County Police Academy 87th Basic Police Recruit Class. Officer Adair graduated from the Academy on November 23rd of 2016 and was selected by his class to represent them as their president. Officer Adair is an active member of the agency's Community Policing Unit, assisting in the training of members of our Citizen Police Academy and Junior Police Academy every year. Officer Adair has received several awards throughout his career and commendations, including a life-saving award, which required the placing of several tourniquets on a victim, and an exceptional duty award, which required his response to a residence for a reported shot fired. Officer Adair, along with other officers, ensured any innocent parties exited the residence, secured a perimeter, and were able to safely order the suspect from the residence without incident. The above only speaks to a short summary of Officer Adair's career. Officer Adair is a selfless officer who constantly helps other officers and looks for ways to best serve the community day in and day out. Joining Officer Adair today are members of his family, his father, James, mother, Holly, brothers, Justin and Sean. Mayor and Township Committee, I proudly present to you Sergeant Derek Adair.
Right hand up. Ready? Go. Do you, Derek Adair, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and will bear faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, so help you God?
I do.
And repeat after me. I, Derek Adair,
I, Derek Adair,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially, and justly
justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of Sergeant
of Sergeant
of the Township of Morris Police Department
of the Township of Morris Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Thank you.
I'll introduce our newest officer, Patrol Officer Taylor Nelson. Officer Taylor Nelson was hired by this agency on July 11, 2022. Upon being hired, Taylor Nelson entered the Morris County Police Academy's basic police recruit class and graduated on December 1st, 2022. Prior to being hired at Morris Township, Officer Nelson interned at both the Morris Township Police Department and Mount Olive Police Department. Officer Nelson grew up in Mount Olive, where she graduated from Mount Olive High School. She then continued her education at William Patterson University, earning her bachelor's degree, and later earned her master's degree from Centenary University. The above summary of Taylor Nelson's beginning with Morris Township is just a small glimpse into the grit and determination that Officer Nelson showed in pursuing her entry into a career in law enforcement. I look forward to Officer Nelson showing these same character traits in her career as a law enforcement officer in Morris Township. Officer Nelson is joined here today by her parents, Heather and Frank, her sister, Courtney, her grandmother, Deborah, and her boyfriend, Chris. Mayor Gyorfy and Township Committee, I proudly present to you Officer Taylor Nelson.
Do you, Taylor Nelson, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and will bear faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, repeat after me. I, Taylor Nelson,
I, Taylor Nelson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly
perform
perform all the duties of police officer
all the duties of police officer
of the Township of Morris Police Department
of the Township of Morris Police Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Next, I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about Officer McIver. Officer McIver is being recognized as our 2022 Officer of the Year. And kind of prior to deciding who was going to be Officer of the Year, I thought to myself, you know, I never was named Officer of the Year, and now I'm Chief, so it's kind of a likely transition, but I didn't think. And then Halloween happened, and I showed up and saw all the work that Officer McIver does day in and day out. And for those of you that were fortunate enough to attend our trunk or treat on Halloween this year, there was over 1,000 people from Morris Township coming through, meeting with officers, meeting with members of the town, and really just a safe place for kids to celebrate Halloween. And probably about a week after that event, I got a call from the Morris County Prosecutor's Office. And usually when you get those phone calls, you kind of get nervous at first. And they just kind of said, I don't know if you know this, Chief, but we just want to tell you what a great job Officer McIver is doing in the schools. And I had worked with Officer McIver on the road, and I knew that she was doing a great job. And you know, that's something that we don't really recognize. She's off in the school every day. There's really no concern from us because she's doing mentorship programs through Ladies in Training, making sure that she's interacting with the different girls in school. She teaches every year in the Junior Police Academy, teaches every year in the Citizen Police Academy, assists with our National Night Out, and really spearheads our trunk or treat, and kind of all the good things that the department sees day in and day out. The good things that the kids see is really a direct result of really the hard work that Officer McIver puts in, and I'm just so thankful that we have her. So 2022 Officer of the Year, but she probably could have had it a couple other times, but I could have had it a couple other times too. So Officer McIver, you please come up. We're very proud. During the calendar year of 2022, Patrol Officer McIver best exemplified outstanding performance in keeping with the goals and traditions of the Morris Township Police Department. This award is presented for your performance of duty, mentorship to youth, planning of townwide events to further department's community outreach, exceptional service to the community, and your overall contribution towards the mission of the Morris Township Police Department. Mayor Gyorfy and Township Committee, I proudly present to you our Officer of the Year, Officer McIver. I'm now going to turn it over to a member of our Police Committee and Township Committee, Jeffery Grayzel.
Good. How does this work? Okay, we'll do it this way. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight on this joyous occasion. Just so everybody understands why I'm standing up here instead of Mayor Gyorfy, the Township Committee is divided up into various oversight responsibilities for the various departments that we have, and I'm the chair of the Police Committee. So I'm happy to be here before you tonight. For those of you who have had the opportunity to listen to my commentary on this dais over the years, you will know that I am an ardent supporter of our police department. I regularly remind the public of the responsibilities officers have, and that all of you come to work every day to put your lives on the line to protect our community, and that one never knows when a traffic stop might go bad. You're an integral part of the community, not only protecting the residents, but also being a critical resource for residents, both to educate them and assist those people in need. So on behalf of the governing body, I first would like to thank all of you here tonight, all of the officers and the command staff in our police department for your fine work. All of you make us proud each and every day. To Officer Nelson, welcome to Morris Township. We have a professional and proud department in our town. We expect you to uphold the professionalism each and every day, and we hope that you will carry that pride with you when you are out in the community. I urge you to get to know our residents by introducing yourself around. I always encourage our officers to get out of their cars and say hello to residents at the parks or baseball games, or if you see somebody walking your dog in the street. It's always nice to know who the residents are and for the residents to know who our police staff are. And please, always be compassionate when it's warranted. Everyone makes a mistake once in a while, and most don't always need a reprimand to learn their lesson. So oftentimes, a simple warning will do the trick. On behalf of the governing body, we wish you a long and prosperous career here in our town. Sergeant Adair, you have not only made your parents and family proud, but also the community very proud as well. It is great to see someone who was raised in our town rise through the ranks. Having knowledge of the community from growing up here surely has made you better at your job. But I'm also hopeful that it has made it easier for certain residents to communicate issues to the department when they need your assistance, knowing somebody is from our town. We now have several homegrown officers in the force, and that is really great to see. So Sergeant Adair, the Township Committee congratulates you, and we are very, very proud of you. Officer McIver, I want you to know that I went on eBay just before this meeting and saw that your Morris Township trading card is now going for $0.25. Whereas all the rest of the officers are still at a nickel. So people know about your MVP award already tonight. Kidding aside, we are all very proud of your work and the well-deserved honor you received tonight. The activities that you're involved with, that the chief spoke about, that led to the Officer of the Year award, are all the community-based programs that I think are so important to connecting our department to the community. So thanks for your great work and to this honorable accomplishment. And again, thank you to all the officers and command staff in the room for the fine job you do every day. Again, you make us proud. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Chief. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And just to echo Mr. Grayzel's comments, and to quote former Mayor Peter Mancuso, our police department is the best in the world. They provide first-class services to our residents. So thank you for all that you do, whether it's during the day or in the middle of the night. It was during the COVID pandemic when no one else was out there, or it's during your everyday routine. Thank you for everything you do for our residents. With that, I believe we'll all rise for the retirement of the colors, and then we'll take a brief recess. So please rise.
Forward. March.
Okay, we'll reconvene at 7:20. For the rest of our recognitions, please
This
have a
meeting is
seat.
being recorded.
I'll invite everyone who's in the room to join us to please sit down for our next group of recognitions. Those who are departing, please exit the doors.
We don't hear you.
All right.
I didn't know what to say.
Okay. I'll call back to order this regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris this Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. The time is now 7:21 p.m. Next item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes.
I can't hear you.
You need a motion to,
Sorry, you can't hear me in the room.
I can hardly hear you over here.
Well, no, I don't hear on the speakers. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
As well as their certificate.
Okay. So the next item on our agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes of the February Township Committee meetings. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes from February 15th, 2023, our regular meeting, and February 27th, 2023, our special and closed.
so moved.
Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. For our first proclamation this evening, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Ravitz, honoring the retirement of Rabbi David NESSON from Morristown Jewish Center.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to read the proclamation into the record. Proclamation of recognition of 35 years of dedicated service and congratulations on upcoming retirement of Rabbi David Joseph NESSON. Whereas Rabbi David Joseph NESSON has dedicated 35 years of spiritual service and religious leadership to the congregation of Morristown Jewish Center, B'et Yisrael, where he inspired, mentored, and educated young and old alike. And whereas Rabbi Nelson was ordained by the Jewish Theological Seminary in 1983, Rabbi NESSON also holds a master's degree in Jewish education from the Jewish Theological Seminary and graduated magna cum laude from Brandeis University. He was also awarded an honorary doctorate from the Jewish Theological Seminary in 2010. And whereas Rabbi David Joseph NESSON is an educator whose passions include teaching children, adults, and senior citizens, and he was chairman of the National Rabbinical Assembly's Committee on Continuing Education. He was also actively involved with the University of St. Elizabeth Center for Holocaust and Genocide Education and served as past president of the Morristown Area Interfaith Council. And whereas Rabbi David Joseph NESSON will be honored on May 5th to the 7th, 2023, for his 35 years of dedicated service as the spiritual leader of the Morristown Jewish Center, B'et Yisrael, and as a revered member of so many notable organizations. And whereas Rabbi NESSON has been a resident of Morris Township since 1988, when he joined the Morristown Jewish Center, and he raised 2 children in our community. And now, therefore, on behalf of the residents of Morris Township, the mayor and the Township Committee of the Township of Morris recognizes and congratulate Rabbi David Joseph NESSON for 35 years of dedicated spiritual leadership to the congregation of the Morristown Jewish Center, B'et Yisrael, and for his outstanding efforts to the community at large.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ravitz. And I believe you and Committeeman Grayzel will be presenting the proclamation at a ceremony upcoming. Okay. I'll now turn it over to Deputy Mayor for Public Outreach, Kathy Wilson, and Committeewoman Guariglia, who will be recognizing 2 residents of Morris Township, Nancy Hedinger and Connie Sanchez, for Women's History Month. So
Thank
I will
you.
turn it over to you two.
Yes, we are going to do this a little differently than we talked with our honorees in the beginning. We are going to read the proclamation into the record. And it's our proclamation in honor of Women's History Month. Whereas the origins of Women's History Month are as a national celebration go back to 1987, when Congress passed Public Law 100-9, designating March as Women's History Month. Whereas, as the Library of Congress reminds us, the goal of Women's History Month is to commemorate and encourage the study, observance, and celebration of the vital role of women in American history. Whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and the peace movement, all of which have helped to create a more fair and just society for all. Whereas, despite these contributions, the role of women has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. Whereas the study of history reveals such memorable facts about the struggles women have faced, as New Jersey's original 1776 Constitution gave the right to vote to all state residents, including women who owned property. This right applied to single women only. Married women were excluded since their property was legally owned by their husbands. In 1807, this law was changed, limiting the right to vote to white males only. In November 1917, after peacefully demonstrating in front of the White House on behalf of women's right to vote, 33 women were imprisoned and brutally beaten in what became known as the Night of Terror. In 1920, the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote was ratified, but it was not until 1965 when President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act into law that discriminatory tactics used against women of color were outlawed and all women could vote. And it was not until 1974, when Congress passed the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, that women were able to get credit cards on their own without requiring a male to co-sign for them. Whereas each year, Women's History Month has a theme, and the theme for 2023 is celebrating women who tell our stories. And whereas this theme is meant to encourage recognition of women who have been active in all forms of storytelling and honors women in every community who have devoted their lives and talents to pursuing truth and reflecting the human condition. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Morris Township Committee supports this March 2023 celebration of Women's History Month and encourages our residents of all ages to observe this occasion through activities based in thoughtful, open-minded inquiry and reflection and sincere efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and equitable for all. And that is our proclamation. And we would like to also at this time recognize the lives and accomplishments of two women, Morris Township residents, who are really an inspiration to all of us. So Donna and I will come up, and we'd like to call up Connie Sanchez and Nancy Hedinger. Come on up. So we have proclamations for both of you, and we would like to read them so that your stories are shared with everyone who's here.
Kathy, speak into the microphone.
We need the mics. Okay, how's that? Okay. So let me start. In recognition of Women's History Month honoree, Connie Sanchez. Whereas Connie has devoted the lion's share of her life and career to advancing gender equality and empowering women and girls of all backgrounds. Whereas Connie's upbringing as the daughter of immigrant parents instilled in her a deep appreciation for the transformative power of education. She was the first person in her family to graduate from high school. In fact, both her parents only obtained fourth grade educations. This led them to instill in her a passion for learning. Whereas Connie's professional journey has been diverse, including serving in the U.S. Air Force Reserve and working in finance for 10 years, it wasn't until she adopted two special needs children that she found her calling in education, beginning her journey as a science teacher in 2010 for the Elizabeth Public Schools, where she helped raise the achievement of at-risk students in science to be among the highest in the state. Whereas Connie joined Unity Charter School in 2015, where she continues as their longest-serving executive director. During her tenure, she has moved the school's academic performance from being a Tier 3 to a Tier 1 school, placing them among the top in the state. Whereas Connie is a strong and accomplished advocate for girls and women in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM education. Additionally, she's been a vocal advocate for women's issues in the realm of financial literacy and has been a sought-after speaker at numerous conferences and events on this topic. Whereas Connie has also made significant contributions to advancing equity issues by serving in leadership roles in such organizations as the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Latina Civic Foundation, and by serving on the Education, Access, and Opportunity Transition Advisory Committee established by Governor Murphy. Whereas Connie's extensive accomplishments as a leader, advocate, and educator make her a source of inspiration to all who strive for a more equitable and just world. Whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Morris wishes to acknowledge Connie's tireless efforts to advance gender and ethnic equality, recognize her many achievements, and lift her up as a role model whose life and legacy exemplify enduring values that take on special significance during the occasion of Women's History Month. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Township Committee do hereby recognize the profound influence of Connie's many contributions to our community, in particular, her commitment and accomplishments in advancing gender equality through her work as a community leader, advocate, and educator. Congratulations. And I'll present that. Thank you.
Congratulations, Connie, and thank you, Committeewoman Wilson. In recognition of Women's History Month honoree Nancy Hedinger. Whereas Nancy Hedinger has been a trailblazer in many areas who challenged the status quo, especially when she saw women being denied opportunities, she helped advocate creative ways to spotlight inequities and garner support for change. Whereas Nancy began her career as an environmental specialist and then became an environmental field representative for the New Jersey Department of the Public Advocate before becoming the Resource Center Director for the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. She was one of the 5 original trustees for the Environment Endowment for New Jersey. She volunteered as the co-founder of the Morris School District PACE, was liaison for the Morris High School Guidance Department, and a Morristown Education Foundation trustee. Whereas Nancy's dedication to empower voters and defend democracy began years ago when she moved to Morris Township. She believed in the power of women to create a more perfect democracy and encouraged voting rights, highlighting that equal opportunities are not enough. People start from different places, so inclusion and belonging require equitable action. Whereas Nancy was elected to 3 terms as the LWVNJ president from 2015 to 2021, bringing a wealth of experience and knowledge, working alongside many legislative leaders, which forged a nonpartisan trust because of her efforts. She served on the LWVUS Futures Committee in 2019, which set the strategic framework for the national organization, and served as the 2022 budget chair of the League of Women Voters of the United States. Whereas Nancy believes the people are the 4th and most powerful branch of government. She has made significant contributions to building relationships within Morris Township and the state of New Jersey in environmental education, women and family issues, education advocacy, and fair elections. Whereas Nancy currently serves as the president of the League of Women Voters of the Morristown area, co-chair of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey Developmental Committee, co-chair of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey Government Committee, and a member of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey's Nominating Committee. Whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Morris wishes to honor Nancy's selfless dedication and commitment to being a change maker and creating her story to pass down to generations, proving empathy and empowerment go hand in hand in keeping our sacred institution of voting for all participants. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the members of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, they being the governing body thereof, do hereby recognize the profound influence of Nancy Hedinger, President of the League of Women Voters of the Morristown area, to our community as a tireless public servant advocating for women's rights throughout her lifetime.
Yeah. We are so proud of both of you. We thank you for your service, and what a wonderful way to celebrate Women's History Month. Thank you. Yeah. I should have said, wait, I didn't get the name.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. Thank you. You could. You could. I think you could. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We're going to do another quick recess. if folks need to run, and you're welcome to stay with us, but we'll take another 5-minute recess. We'll come back at 7:43.
Yeah.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. I'm calling back to order for the second time the regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris. Wednesday, March 15th, 2023. The time is now 7:43 on the dot. Thank you, everyone who's sticking with us. Next on our agenda is our first public comment and inquiry. We currently have 6 members of the public joining us virtually and 4 members of the public here in the room with us at Town Hall. We'll open the public meeting to comment. We'll take comments from in-person attendees first, then switch to Zoom. If you're on Zoom, please virtually raise your hand to indicate you would like to speak. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Also, please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. With that, is there a motion to open the first public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone in the room wishing to speak? Come on up.
Howdy.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. My name is Ryan Gorman at 26 Normandy Heights Road. So if you know where that is by the Morris Museum, the intersection there, Columbia and Normandy Parkway, that's actually what I wanted to talk about, hopefully ask about. I guess like most public comments, I actually have a request. So I would love a little bit of help. I reached out in May about that intersection. It's fairly dangerous.
Mr. Gorman, can you lift the microphone up a little bit?
Oh, sorry. So I get all that time back? No.
Yeah.
When I reached out in May about that intersection, it's fairly dangerous. I'm not sure how many people spend a lot of time there, but there's accidents there very frequently. At one point, there were 3 accidents in a single day, and an accident the next day, and an accident the day after that. I asked a police officer who was there, how frequently is there? He said he may as well set up a substation. So it seems like it's pretty dangerous. I'm a bicycle commuter. I don't have a car. I can borrow my wife's, but otherwise I go through that intersection on my bike twice a day. And one of my kids rides to the high school every day through that intersection on their bike. So I have a lot of concern about it. It is fairly ridiculously set up. So I don't want to insult whoever designed it, but ridiculous is kind of an insult when the results are what they are. I think it could be fairly easily addressed. I reached out to Mr. Slade, who was very helpful, introduced me to Mr. Ravitz, who told me in May of last year he'd get back to me. I'm sure he's very busy, but followed up a few times, haven't heard back. So I was hoping perhaps the township could inquire. I know it's a county-controlled intersection. The 2 requests I have are simply when coming up like from Florham Park, up Columbia Turnpike, turning left onto Normandy Parkway. That is, I have to imagine 90% of the accidents are people turning left there. They have a difficult time judging the upslope of the hill, and they turn left and they get hit by people coming up the hill. It happens all day. I literally watch it happen each morning and near miss, and often I get to witness an actual accident. And there's a neighbor who has footage there from a webcam. You can always get that if you're curious how often it actually happens. If that were left turn on green arrow only, there's already a green arrow, everything's already installed, everything's already there. If it were green only, that would alleviate most of the concern. And then if it were right turn on red only, when you're turning onto Columbia going to Florham Park, that would alleviate most of the concern. I've seen a lot of public comment on this, and people have made comments and next door, everywhere else. The public group that was put together to look at transportation options spent time there, apparently recommended the exact same thing. The county at one point years ago had said they can't do that because traffic would back up so much that it would go across Park. That may have been true at some point in time. It's definitely not true today. So my request of the township is if perhaps you could actually look into it. I'm not getting any response as a citizen, but I'm hoping the township can get a response to just ask if perhaps we could inquire about those 2 very modest, I think costless changes. If there is a cost, I volunteer to pay for it. I will personally cover 100% of the cost to just make that intersection more safe. That'd be my request.
Could you, would you be able to, well, you're already in touch with Mr. Slade. I was going to ask for the emails you sent to the county too.
Sure.
Maybe that'd be good. And Mr. Quinn, I'm sure can give some additional background.
That'd be great.
I have some of Mr. Gorman's emails.
Okay.
I don't know if we were copied on the ones that Mr. Fitz or not, but I have some of the ones that Mr. Gorman has sent to Mr. Slate.
Perfect.
So
Excellent.
yeah, we can certainly follow up to see what their plans are. I know Deputy Mayor Wilson had done a walking audit with Mr. Ravitz last year in the area. I know a few years ago they put in extra striping for the turning. I know they did work on the sidewalks over there too. And I know firsthand what the accidents are because I have responded to them as a firefighter to car accidents there
Sorry
as
to hear
well.
that. Yeah.
But
There's additional striping coming as part of the project there. There's additional striping, and I know they redid the islands there and some other things. And then
Yeah, I think part of the
additional-
Normandy Parkway project
Right, and then
may
some
intersect
additional-
with that.
Well, that,
Yeah.
that was a separate county project for the
Okay.
islands that were done. Our Normandy Parkway project has not started yet, but it's going to tie into that.
Okay.
But there's additional striping that was going to be coming on. I know we've spoken to Mr. Vitz too about your recommendation, as was ours, to have a dedicated left turn lane
That'd be
or Columbia
terrific.
Turnpike going westbound.
Alternatively, I can just direct traffic there each morning, but
I wouldn't want you out there.
So, yeah. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
No, we appreciate you coming out to talk about it. I mean, it's just one of the frustrations just generally living in New Jersey with all the overlapping jurisdictions
Sure.
from state, county, and local roads. And the bureaucracy dealing with this is mind-numbing, as I'm sure
No
have experienced yourself, but we'll follow up and try to get some more clarification. I know Mr. Slate's been working with them for the Normandy Parkway project, so we'll see what other stuff we can get for you. Yes.
One comment. I would recommend go on the Transportation Committee's website,
Sure.
on our township website, Transportation Advisory Committee, the walk audit. We did a walk audit.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah. it
Did
was
you
great-
read it?
Great work. I wanted to volunteer for it at the time. I was flying every day. I couldn't, but I think great work was done very thoughtfully. So
It was a very interesting experience, and we're proud of the report. And Chris Vitz did participate in that.
oh, great. Excellent.
So, and I wanted to be clear, you said, I understand what your ask is, the left turn on a green arrow only. I understand that, but the right turn on the red only, what were
Coming
you
up
talking
Normandy
about there?
Parkway and turning right to go toward like Florham Park, for instance, on Columbia Turnpike.
Okay.
Part of what I witness every day, because I'm almost hit there fairly regularly. In fact, my handlebar's been hit twice as I'm trying to get across there. People are so nervous about how quickly traffic is emerging up the hill coming from, say, downtown Morristown, that they get up there and they don't look to the right and they gun it. And when they gun it, they're then surprised by the traffic that's coming the other direction and turning left. There's not a risk of them intersecting, but
Yeah.
I watch them physically recoil when they see it, because they hit the gas so hard, because it's a 40-mile-an-hour road and people usually travel 55 or more in the morning. So it's if it were no turn on red, they wouldn't have that concern. They could just sit and sip their coffee and wait until the light changed and not kill
Yeah.
anyone.
Okay.
right.
Appreciate your suggestions.
And
Thank you.
Mr. Gorman, I have one comment also. I don't know if you're aware of the upgrades that are being made to Normandy Parkway and up to the museum there, but we're putting in a sidewalk. You probably saw the new aprons
Exciting.
that are in at the intersections.
Yes.
And there's going to be actually a push button to cross with a cross
didn't know that.
signal. So you will be able to cross more safely
Oh, that's terrific.
at that intersection.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. I saw the plans. I did not see the other side of the island. So does that mean there's a sidewalk, I'm sorry it takes so much time, in front of the Morris Museum that's coming in there?
Yes.
It's going to come
Oh,
in there.
wonderful. That's great.
Yeah. And Tim, Mr. Quinn, is there going to be an actual walk, don't walk flasher?
I don't think anything's changing with the traffic signal.
But you said there's going to be a push button to,
They
didn't you
put
tell
one
me there's
in.
going to be a push button to cross? No? Oh, so I
Sorry,
might be wrong.
They did put one in. They installed it upside down. That's the only reason I know it, because I reached out to them, tell them it was upside down. But so it is there. It's just not activated.
We made some improvements to the traffic signal there that were maintenance issues.
Uh-huh.
But that was,
Oh, but there's not specifically a walk button. Oh, I'm sorry if I,
There's a walk, don't walk sign. It's just not activated. I don't know about the button. Maybe I don't know what the
Oh.
plan is.
so perhaps you can put that in your email, your next email to Mr. Vitz and
That'd
ask
be
him
great.
if that's going to be activated. Because
I'll
the
do that.
aprons are in there. The
Mhm.
the pedestrian aprons to cross are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks
you
for
all.
coming
Really
out
appreciate
Thank
tonight.
you for coming. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it, Mr. Gorman. Any members on Zoom wishing to provide comment? Mr. Goldberg.
Hi, good evening, Lee Goldberg, good 10 Arrowhead Road. My first question is on ordinance 0423, which is a repeal of chapter 261, which in looking that up in sort of the code has to do with walls and fences in residential neighborhoods. So if someone could provide just an overview of that when we get to either that portion of the meeting or now, what's the driving force behind that, and is there going to be anything replacing that or substituting in for that? Would you like to comment on that now or later? Or
Mr. Quinn.
Mr. Goldberg, that's duplicative of what is in chapter 95. That ordinance was done in 1969. There was one small minor difference. So we're taking that one out and we're just using chapter 95 that addresses the fences and walls and what their requirements are for putting them on people's property, whether it be a side yard, a backyard, or a front yard.
Thank you for adding some color and clarifying that. Appreciate it. Very helpful. Appreciate it. On Resolution 7423 for the contract for the records management at the fire department, the amount there, is that an annual fee? Is that a 5-year contract? Is it in perpetuity? Like, is that an annual expenditure?
That's an annual expenditure.
That'll be an, okay. Thank you very much. And then my last question on ordinances is on 8123 and 8223, dealing with the release agreement and the settlement agreement with the Red Bulls and Fair Share Housing. Can you provide just sort of an overview of what those settlement agreements and release agreements were, or is that something that would have to be, I'm assuming those agreements are now part of the public record and are either operable, or, but if you can comment on that tonight with council or anyone on the committee who can just give a sort of an overview to the public on what those release agreements and settlement agreements are about, that would be appreciated. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Galway, thank you. Mr. Cantor is going to go through that we're going to strip the resolutions out to vote on individually. Mr. Cantor is going to give an overview if you're willing to wait till then. And then if you have follow-up questions, you can do it in the second public comment if that works. I think he's muted now, but Mr. Cantor will give the overview in a few moments when we do the resolutions.
Yeah, and Mayor, Mr. Goldberg's comment, these documents are operable.
Okay, yep.
What did you say?
They are operable. Mr. Goldberg asked if they were available to the public.
Okay. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the first public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 2 ordinances for public hearing and adoption on tonight's agenda. I'll be recusing myself from ordinance 02-23 as it pertains to the fire department. Therefore, I'll handle the first ordinance and Deputy Mayor Ravitz will handle the second ordinance. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title of the first ordinance into the record.
An ordinance of the Township of Morris, County of Morris, concerning salaries for non-union personnel.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve ordinance number 01-23?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or items of discussion from the committee before we vote on the ordinance? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Griglia.
I'm sorry, public hearing. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this ordinance?
I apologize, Mayor.
That's okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public portion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now can I have a roll call?
Ms. Griglia,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
and Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance for the record?
02-23, an ordinance of the Township of Morris, Morris County, New Jersey, concerning salaries for fire department non-union personnel.
May I have a motion to approve ordinance 02?
You need a public hearing, a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you, it wasn't on there. May I have a motion to open a public hearing on this?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. May I have any comments from the public on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 0223?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Ms. Griglia,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Mayor Gyorfy is
Recusing
recusing.
myself.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ravitz. Moving on to ordinances for introduction. We have 3 ordinances on tonight's agenda for introduction.
Madam Clerk, when you're ready, if you could please read the title of the first ordinance into the record.
An ordinance 03-23, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a bank for the calendar year 2023. NJSA 40A 4-45.414.
Thank you. And may I have a motion to introduce ordinance number 03-23?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or items of discussions from the committee? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Mr. Grayzel?
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 03-23 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Moving on to ordinance 04-23. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title of 04-23 into the record.
An ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris to amend the Township Code, repealing Chapter 261 in its entirety.
Thank you. May I please have a motion to introduce 04-23?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion points or questions from the committee? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Grayzel?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Yes. The public hearing and final consideration and adoption of ordinance number 04-23 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting, also on Wednesday, April 19, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Moving on to our third ordinance for introduction is 05-23. Madam Clerk, if you could please read the title into the record.
An ordinance of the Township of Morris, County of Morris, concerning salaries for non-union personnel.
May I please have a motion to introduce ordinance 05-23?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or items of discussion from the committee? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Guariglia?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Yes. Like the other two, the public hearing will be and final consideration and adoption of 05-23 will be held at the next regular Township Committee meeting on Wednesday, April 19th at 7 p.m. We'll now move into the introduction of the 2023 municipal budget, and I will turn it over to Township Administrator Tim Quinn.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packages there, you have a copy of the 2023 municipal budget along with the supporting documents for the budget. This is from sheet 2 of the budget document. The municipal budget resolution of the Township of Morris, County of Morris for the fiscal year 2023. Be it resolved that the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute municipal budget for the year 2023. Being it further resolved that said budget be published in the Morris County Daily Record in the issue of March 18th, 2023. The governing body of the Township of Morris does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2023. I would request a motion to introduce the budget and a second for that, and then I will ask for a roll call on that.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call for?
Ms. Guariglia?
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel?
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the committee persons of the Township Committee, County of Morris on March 15, 2023. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at the Morris Township Municipal Building, 50 Woodland Avenue, on April 19, 2023 at 7 p.m., at which time and place objections to said budget and tax resolution for the year 2023 may be presented by taxpayers or other interested persons. And that concludes that matter, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. I will be providing remarks on the introduction of the budget, but I will hold those to my committee commentary at the end of the meeting.
We'll now move into resolutions. We have 14 resolutions on tonight's agenda. I'll be abstaining from resolution 74-23 as it relates to the fire department, and Mr. Ravitz will handle that resolution. I will also be polling resolutions 82-23 and 83-23 as they relate to the settlement that Mr. Cantor will be providing the overview on. So bear with me a little bit. So we'll have 4 separate votes, and we'll also be adding one resolution 86-23. So I'll be asking for 4 separate votes. One is a block of resolutions 73-23, and then 75-23 to 81-23. And 84-23 to 86-23.
And Mayor, for the record, 8623 is authorizing a settlement, Mount Kimball Morristown LLC versus Township Morris. That's block 6101, lot 4.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Mayor?
Yes.
Why are we pulling 74 separate?
Pertains to the fire department.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Missed that part.
Yep, no problem. Are there any other resolutions that should have been pulled that I should have listed out of block? Okay, so then may I have a motion to approve resolutions 73-23, 75-23 through 81-23, and 84-23 to 86-23 by one motion?
I thought we were pulling 80 and 81 separately. No?
No.
No? Okay.
82 and 83.
82 and 83 will be separate.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have them wrong on
Yeah,
my?
it's 81 and 82, committee and Grayzel.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for clarifying. Okay, let's do it one more time. So first, may I have a motion to vote on block resolutions 73-23, 75-23 to 80-23, and 83-23 to 86-23,
So
if
moved.
that's permissible.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Miss Griglia,
Yes.
Miss Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I will now turn it over to Deputy Mayor Ravitz to handle 74-23.
Madam Clerk, please read the title of the the resolution 74-23.
Authorizing award of a non-fair and open contract to First Due for a cloud-based software platform that offers records management of daily operations, prevention, and administration of the Morris Township Fire Department for a total NTE $18,750.
Any discussion amongst the committee members?
No.
All right, need a motion, seeing none, I need a motion to approve resolution 74-23.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Miss Griglia,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Miss Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Abstain, or recuse.
Recused.
Recused. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ravitz. Moving to resolutions 81-23 and 82-23 pertaining to an execution of a cooperation agreement, as well as a settlement agreement. Should we, Mr. Cantor, you want to read now, or should I?
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Cantor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a pair of settlement agreements on the agenda tonight, which have been closed session agenda items for quite some time. They are in tandem, and they relate to a litigation revolving the former Honeywell site, which will be the Red Bulls' new training facility. On rezoning that property, Fair Share Housing filed in Superior Court, and they were seeking that Morris Township essentially zone and allow over 1,100 units of inclusionary housing on that site. We fought them in court. We filed papers, and and it resulted in a settlement agreement, which we think has favorable terms to the township. As with fair share housing, the township has agreed to build or attempt to build and use good faith efforts to build a 50-unit all affordable complex on Ketch Road. That property is currently owned by the county. It would involve a transfer of that property to the township. It's 100% affordable, and I don't know all the particulars. It's pretty complex, but the developer of that property is able to use tax credits and other state funding monies to build the units. So it's hopeful that there won't be a large outlay from the township other than the land itself. In addition to that, and if for some reason the township's good faith efforts to build the 50 affordable units were unable to do that on Ketch Road, it converts to 25 affordable units for the fourth round. The third round of the affordable housing ends July 2025. We currently have immunity in the third round from additional builders' remedies lawsuits. I think it's a great settlement for the township in that it's unique that fair share housing is starting to look to the fourth round. So I think that was a win for the township. So if we're unable to get these 50 units, it would not increase our third round obligation, which is what fair share housing was seeking in its lawsuit, a significant increase to our third round obligation. In addition, Lindsay Drive, 15 Lindsay Drive, there's going to be a overlay zone to allow development of 12 units per acre with a 15% set aside. And this township entered into a settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing, and they entered into certain overlay zones. They will each be increased. Those that were 12 will go to 15, and those were 15 will go to 20%. Those were zones that were already zoned for inclusionary housing, and there's just been an increase to those. In addition, the Red Bulls are paying a non-residential development fee, and 500,000 of that will be going towards there'll be a township will designate a designee subject to Fair Share Housing's consent. So that money will go towards additional affordable units, the $500,000, which is the development fee. Additionally, we entered into a cooperation agreement with the Red Bulls and the current owner of the site, Columbia Road. The one benefit to the township as part of this cooperation agreement is the owners of the site have agreed to withdraw all their tax appeals. So as part of this agreement, those pending tax appeals will be dismissed. And the Red Bulls are agreeing to fund that $500,000, which I discussed previously. So that's largely what these two agreements resolve. They resolve litigation in court, and they also resolve the dispute over the Red Bull site and the obligations which Fair Share Housing was attempting to increase our third round obligation to the township significantly. I guess I could take questions from the governing body, if any.
Thank you, Mr. Cantor.
Yes, I have one question. If the public is interested in reading the agreements, how do they do that?
I'll defer to the clerk, but they should be. I mean, they're certainly operable. I don't know if they'll be made available otherwise.
So if somebody wants to read it, they submit an Oprah to the clerk's office?
I mean, certainly they're operable.
Yes.
Okay.
You could get that right on the website.
And what is it called? Like what would be?
Public records request?
No, I mean, what's the document they're asking for?
There's a global settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing. And there's also a cooperation agreement between Red Bulls, Columbia Road, and Township of Morris. But I think, given the Oprah rules that they asked for the settlement agreements related to the Fair Share Housing litigation approved, that would, I think we could figure out what they were asking for.
Or if they reference the resolution.
Or they reference the resolutions, anything that, I think we'll have if somebody were making Oprah requests in the next few days, weeks, I don't think we'd scratch our heads to figure out what they were asking for, so.
Okay, thank you.
And if they ask for one, I think we should just provide them both.
I have no objection to that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cantor, for the overview.
Thank you, Mayor.
With that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 81-23.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I'll now ask a motion to approve Resolution 82-23.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes, thank you. Moving on our agenda, we have item for the consent calendar.
We have the other resolutions. Or did we already do those?
We did them on block.
We did on block. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, as I go onto the right page here. We have 3 items on the consent calendar this evening. May I please have a motion to approve them by voice vote?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consideration of monthly reports. We received reports from Finance for January 2023, the Joint Court for February 2023, the Tax Collector for February 2023, and the Joint Municipal Library for 2023. May I please have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Claims for payment. Our total amount of bills and vouchers for this meeting is $8,033,038.77. As a reminder, we are also the tax collector for the school district, the library, and the county of Morris. May I please have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Grayzel,
Yes.
Ms. Guariglia,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. Next on our agenda is standing committee reports and commentary by the Township Committee, and I will turn it over to Committeewoman Donna Guariglia to start us off.
Thank you, Mayor. On my committee reports, I'm going to start with the Economic Development Advisory Committee. When we met, we continued our discussion on the Madison Avenue corridor and a lot of the discussion around the empty buildings. Anything that new that is going in, there definitely needs to be discussion what would be needed on design standards, signage, attractive streetscape consideration, and the hours of operation of the businesses there. Administrator Tim Quinn did share with us a brochure about Morris Township, which we would like to look at updating, especially why should businesses come to and stay in Morris Township. Kathy Villarango is also creating a spreadsheet of the tenants that are in the buildings, so we know exactly how many and who's in, how they're being occupied. Committee member Jeff Grayzel suggested EDAC form 2 or more working groups to complete work on some of the goals we have in place, like we've done on some of our other committees. And we also talked about having the Morris County Economic Development Corporation, part of the Morris County Chamber of Commerce, come to speak to us. MCDC can provide studies on office and industrial real estate markets and is a powerful ally for businesses seeking a new location. EDAC will present to the Township Committee on Wednesday, May 17th. The Transportation Advisory Committee, our walking, biking, driving, and parking committees continue with their work. Tomorrow on Thursday, I'm doing a sidewalk gap tour with Administrator Tim Quinn and Engineer Jim Slate to view the sidewalk gaps that might need repair or should be completed. The TAC annual report is up on the website. Please take the time to read it, and we thank Rick By for putting it together. TAC is going to begin to have a presence at the Winter Farmers Market. The dates will be posted on the website once they're confirmed, and Chair Jim Hunt is hoping that maybe he'll be able to fit in a short bike tour on one of the Sundays, weather permitting. Jim Slate gave an overview of the engineering projects, and we had a report on the Burnham Park revitalization that Morristown is proposing. We're also planning on May being Morris Township Mobility or Morris Township on the Move month. On finance, I know that the mayor will have some comments there. Just want to again thank you to Administrator Tim Quinn and our Finance Department for all the good work on the budget. And again, if anybody has concerns about the banking system, we are stable, and you shouldn't worry about the Silicon Valley Bank. We don't have any funds there. And the municipalities in New Jersey do have a supplemental insurance program, the Government Unit Deposit Protection Act. And we are required by law to deposit our funds in banks that participate in that program. On the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee, on this Saturday, March 18th, from 8:30 to noon, they need volunteers at the annual Bethel Church Area River Cleanup at 89 Spring Street in Morristown. For my comments, I would like to congratulate Sergeant Derek Adair, Patrol Officer Tyler Nelson, and 2022 Police Officer of the Year, Officer Natasha McIver. I'd also like to say happy retirement to Rabbi NESSON. My remarks will focus on Women's History Month, and again, congratulations to our two outstanding honorees, Connie Sanchez and Nancy Hedinger. I think if you listen to the information you heard tonight about their stories, both women had many examples of inspiring others and using the power of their community to effect positive change. Believing in optimism and hope ensure the successful outcome of everything we put our strongest efforts towards. On January 21st in 2017, the Women's March in Washington, D.C. and throughout the country was the single biggest demonstration in the history of the U.S. It was a decision by millions of women to organize and show the world that their voices would not be silenced. The fierce determination of those who had a powerful message transcended the day and gave every female participating the strength to believe in herself. The following women, all contributing from several different areas, from Susan B. Anthony, Clara Barton, Amelia Earhart, Grace Hopper, to Coretta Scott King, Sandra Day O'Connor, Sally Ride, Madeline Albright, Shirley Chisholm, and Maya Angelou, just to name a few of them, are women who have contributed to the success of our country and helped us become stronger as we passed along their stories. I would like to celebrate and thank all the women here at Town Hall working behind the scenes to meet the demands of our residents. To all of our female professionals who do their jobs and then some when additional demands have to be met. We see every day in our community the volunteerism led by women in our neighborhoods, always stepping up to help out in times of need. You are truly the ones who need to be recognized and thanked for your organizational skills, your thoughtfulness, and your selfless caring of others. Have the women in your life tell you their stories and listen carefully. I'll leave you with a highlight of an inventor from Morristown, Alice H. Parker. In 1919, she invented the furnace and patented the home heating system. So when you leave tonight and settle in the warmth of your home, know it was a female inventor who made sure that you would be warm and cozy. On Friday, everyone celebrate like you're a little bit Irish and enjoy the weekend. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Committeewoman Guariglia. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you. So I'll start with an update on environmental activities. At last week's Environmental Commission meeting, our green team did a presentation and provided an update on our plans for 2023. Our best estimate at this point is that we may fall short of qualifying for the next level of certification in the Sustainable Jersey program in 2023. But we will continue completing and documenting various actions. And in reality, these actions, more so than the points or the certification, are what really matter. Each action in itself is a worthy step that moves our town toward greater sustainability. In my opinion, the real value of this program is that it provides us with a roadmap of ideas and best practices for moving in that direction, which is exactly what we plan to do in the year ahead. On another front, there was an interesting discussion on the pledge we're using with the public, in which we are asking individuals to commit to avoid invasives and plant natives. The main point of this pledge is to raise awareness of the initiative, which began last year when we passed our so-called Do Not Plant resolution, which the vast majority of our residents know nothing about. We're already using the pledge as a discussion starter at in-person events like the farmers market, and we're also planning to begin using an online version soon. To me, the importance of the pledge is that it's one tool of many that we can use to do outreach and education with the public on this initiative. It also helps us document the number of people we've talked to at least once about this initiative. So slowly, step by step, one person at a time, we're working to spread awareness of the importance of avoiding invasives and planting natives. A great next step for anyone who's interested in this initiative is to participate in the upcoming native plant sale that's being sponsored by the Great Swamp. This is a great way to get the natives you need to plant in the spaces you have. It's also a great way to build your background knowledge, as the Great Swamp is providing several informational webinars to accompany the sale. Online sales begin on April 3rd. They go through April 28th, and the pickup will be on May 6th. You can find more details on the Great Swamp's website or in our EC newsletter. And one final comment, I want to let everyone know that for the foreseeable future, we're cutting our newsletter back to every other month instead of every month. That's because Charlie Shatner, who's been the leader of creating our newsletter, has taken on a new business opportunity, and he does not have time to do the monthly newsletter every month. We are hoping to figure out a way to resume monthly publication, but we're not there yet. So in the meantime, Charlie has done a fantastic job creating the newsletter and building our readership. And we do wish him all the best in his new venture. On the Senior Citizens Committee, we are in the process of gathering responses to the survey that's out there in circulation. From February 1st through March 1st, we had online electronic distribution only. Since March 1st, we've started making hard copies available, and we've been doing outreach in various locations with people who, for various reasons, were not able to complete the survey electronically. So far, we've received 533 electronic completions and a couple of dozen hard copy completions. And we're pretty happy with that, but we do have 6,800 people in our town age 60 or older, and we should be getting more than that. So we encourage everyone to complete the survey. We encourage everyone here to spread the word. And hard copies are available here at Town Hall with the greeter who greets people in the main lobby. And you can also complete an electronic copy online. A copy is on our website. Our final date is April 15th, and we will be discussing the preliminary results at our upcoming meeting of the Senior Citizens Committee, which will be March 27th. 3 to 4:30 right here in Town Hall, and you can also join by Zoom. And we do encourage everybody who's interested. These are important issues. We encourage everyone who's interested, please show up at our meetings. For my Township Committee meetings, I want to offer a few reflections of my own on Women's History Month and this year's theme of celebrating women who tell our stories. If you read the proclamation, which we did, one of the stories highlighted there really stood out to me, which is it's hard to believe that just over 100 years ago in 1917, 33 women were actually thrown in prison and brutally beaten for doing nothing more than demonstrating in front of the White House on behalf of women's rights to vote. Can you imagine something like that happening today? It's absolutely unthinkable. For me, that single event brings up a lot of reflections. It reminds me how hard fought the right to vote actually was. It reminds me that we as women have only had that right for just over 100 years. And when you think about it, that's pretty shocking. That's not that long of a time. If you fast forward to today, we have come a long way. We are able to do a lot of things that used to be reserved only for men, like serving on our police force and serving in elected office and excelling in the study of science, technology, engineering, and math. We have come a long way, but it's also true if the goal is full gender equality, we've got a long way to go. And sharing the stories of women like you saw and heard tonight is a great way for all of us to move in that direction. So I do want to congratulate all the women we celebrated tonight and to echo your words of celebrating all the women who work with us here in Town Hall. And as we commemorate Women's History Month, may we all keep in mind the importance of remembering our history and sharing our stories with each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. Committeeman Grayzel.
Thank you, Mayor. I too attended the Transportation Advisory Committee and the Economic Development Advisory Committee meetings. Committeewoman Guariglia does an excellent job of summarizing those meetings. I'll just add two small points. She mentioned that on EDAC, I had suggested we do outreach to businesses so the public understands. For example, at Mount Kimball Office Park, we have 4 big buildings there, and we're not really sure who all the tenants are in those buildings. So if we can do some outreach from EDAC on behalf of the township to ensure that they know that we're here, that they're happy, if there's anything we can do for them, any suggestions they might have for us, any kind of outreach like that that makes them more comfortable in Morris Township, makes them want to stay in Morris Township, helps us with that tax base. The commercial tax base offsets the residential tax base. So we want to just make sure more tenants stay in Morris Township, and it'll help out all of us in that respect. With regard to TAC, one of the many projects I am involved with on TAC is mapping out the growing number of EV charging stations we have across Morris Township. For those members of the public who have started visiting the Morris Marketplace on Hanover Avenue, you will find that the developer has installed 16 EV charging ports scattered throughout the mall. And we are working to push more EV charging throughout Morris Township. That's all from my committee commentary, but my general commentary, I would first like to welcome our new clerk, Suzanne Walsh, to the dais.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh.
I wish you the same as I did for our new police officer, that you have a long and prosperous career here with us in Morris Township.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Congratulations to Rabbi NESSON on the proclamation you received tonight. Rabbi NESSON has been my rabbi ever since I moved to Morris Township and started attending synagogue here. He has been a big part of my life and many other lives in the community. He's also participated in a couple of the reorganization meetings that we've had here on a couple of occasions. As mentioned earlier, Deputy Mayor Ravitz and I will be presenting him the proclamation at an event Sunday at the Morristown Jewish Center. And I communicated with Rabbi NESSON yesterday, and he asked me to express his gratitude to the governing body for the honor that we have bestowed upon him. I would like to thank our finance team of Mayor Gyorfy, Committeewoman Guariglia, Administrator Tim Quinn, and CFO Francine DeAngelis for their hard work on the budget, given the unprecedented rise in certain municipal expenses. How we came in where we did is truly phenomenal, I think. So good job, everybody. This past Saturday, the community enjoyed a fantastic St. Patrick's Day parade in Morristown. The weather was good, thankfully. The crowds were large, and the bagpipes were magnificent as always. And this year, I personally paid more attention to the uniforms of the various Irish clans, and I found that really interesting. Congratulations to Grand Marshal Ryan Dawson. And for those of you who do not know Ryan, he is an all-around great guy who supports the community in many ways. And lastly, Since 2019, I have been speaking out from this dais against gun violence. Yesterday, President Biden announced an executive order with the goal of increasing the number of background checks conducted before firearm sales, moving the U.S. closer to the goal of universal background checks, but additional federal legislation by Congress is still needed. The executive order will also keep more guns out of dangerous hands, we hope, by increasing the effective use of red flag laws, strengthen efforts to hold the gun industry accountable, and accelerate law enforcement efforts to identify and apprehend the shooters menacing our communities. I urge our federal leaders to help make our communities across our country safer by enacting this needed federal legislation on background checks. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman Grayzel. Deputy Mayor Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your participation in our local community government. National politics may get all the spotlight, but it's what we do here that has the biggest economic and quality of life impact on our lives. So for my standing committee reports, I'm really going to focus on Parks and Rec because they have been busy, busy, busy. Pool registration is now open for returning members. So Township residents who did not have a pool membership in 2022 can start their application process on April 1st. The early bird rates that will run through April 30th. Membership's already moving at a very brisk rate, so don't wait to get yours if you plan to renew or become a new pool member. With regard to the Collinsville Park Tucker Field renovations, the first public unveiling of 3 proposals for the parks was held at Unity Charter School on March 8. The proposals are also up on the Township website for further viewing and comment by the public. We continue to expect that we'll have the final design approved by June and shovels in the ground by early fall. April is Clean Community Month in Morris Township. The Parks and Rec Department invites residents and community groups to clean up one of the township's parks or community facilities in your neighborhood. Cleanups will be held on Saturdays beginning April 1st through the entire month except for the holiday weekend of April 8th. The township will provide gloves and trash bags. Please contact the Parks and Rec Department if you could take part in any of the Saturday cleanups. Please help us out on this worthy endeavor. And now I'll move on to my public commentary. I was honored to read the proclamation for Rabbi Nesson's retirement into the public record. I'll be presenting it to Rabbi Nesson along with Committeeman Grayzel on Sunday at the Morristown Jewish Center at their Mitzvah Day celebration. Mitzvah is the Hebrew word for a worthy deed, and Rabbi Nesson exemplifies the most basic of this most basic of Jewish laws over the decades that he has served our community. And I'd be remiss if I didn't have a few words to say about Women's History Month. Rather than simply celebrate all the women throughout history that have accomplished what they've accomplished for humankind, I'm going to make note that women still have not attained the status in society that men have enjoyed throughout our shared human history. For the majority of us men, we fully recognize, appreciate, and celebrate not just the women in our lives, but their contributions to our lives and to society, whether it be something great or something small. It's the little things that make life so worthwhile, and it's those little things that we all take for granted until they're gone. Of particular note, the United States has still not passed an Equal Rights Amendment. Why? Why are powerful men still afraid of women's equality? Another point of note that I'd like to note is that yesterday, the 14th of March, was Equal Pay Day. This date symbolizes how far into the year women must work to earn what men earned in the previous year. Personally, I can't think of a better way to honor women than to have them finally attain the rights, privileges, pay equity, and status that men have and still enjoy. Finally, I want to thank Tim Quinn, his staff, all the township professionals for all their hard work on preparing this year's budget. With inflation at one point around 8%, now down to about 6%, and with the shortfall of nearly $1.5 million in unanticipated health care and pension increases mandated by the state, we have a budget that doesn't cut services, and major and capital improvements for 2023 are not compromised. This governing body is committed to reinvesting as much of our tax revenue as possible back into the community in order to keep Morris Township the crown jewel of the county to live, work, and play. And as always, I'd like to end my commentary with the following. Let's not marginalize or demonize the people who have less political or economic power as some of us currently enjoy. Rather, let's face up and stand up to those who continue to profit from our division. We have more in common than should ever divide us, but we have to talk to and not at each other. Amplifying misinformation, hateful or violent rhetoric is not part of any civil discourse. And lastly, let's remember that as you go about your business each day, just be kind to yourselves and kind to others, because kindness ripples. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Ravitz. For my standing committee reports, I'll just focus on the Finance Standing Committee tonight. And it's been a pleasure working with Committeewoman Guariglia on the Finance Committee this year, with Administrator Tim Quinn, our CFO Fran DeAngelis, and all the department heads. Thank you, Tim and Fran, for all of your hard work behind the scenes, working nights and weekends to make sure our budget was prepared on time, which is always so important for us to make sure we're reaching our goals in terms of making those investments by the end of the year and allocating the funds. When we set out to put the budget together this year, our goals were to provide the benefits our employees deserve, protect the services our residents depend on, and continue investing in our community's future, like Mr. Ravitz just said, while shouldering the burden of dramatic increases in non-discretionary spending that we're seeing this year. To highlight the headwinds that we're seeing in the broader economic background, like Mr. Ravitz said, inflation is over 6% currently, was over 8% last year. We're seeing our recycling costs rise and our trash services costs go higher. As a result of health insurance premium increases of over 20%, pension increases, and prescription drug pricing, the township is facing over $1 million in costs that we did not have last year. To add insult to injury, since 2008, we have missed out on over $18 million worth of energy tax receipts that have been diverted to state coffers rather than being transferred rightfully to Morris Township. With these considerable outside factors, keeping our budget in line with a 2% increase this year is a win for our taxpayers, while other municipalities suffer far higher increases. Again, I commend Mr. Quinn, Mrs. DeAngelis, and the governing body for supporting this budget. I'm looking forward to the presentation next month, where we'll provide a more thorough overview and hear comments. Moving on to general commentary, I would like to thank Bill Fulch and his team, the team from NV5, as well as our consultants who are working on the Collinsville Playground project and getting that open meeting together, having those design plans ready for public review, and keeping us on schedule. We're at a rigorous schedule to get this project done and started and shovels in the ground by the end of the year. And we really appreciate not only their work, but also the public's work at being so responsive to us and in such a timely manner. I'd also like to congratulate those members of the police department who were recognized this evening. In addition, I'd like to recognize and thank Nancy Hedinger and Connie Sanchez for all of their contributions to Morris Township. And I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Wilson for not only writing the proclamation that was read tonight, but also herself making history here in Morris Township and making women's history here in Morris Township. Thank you, Kathy. I'd also like to congratulate Rabbi NESSON, as Mr. Ravitz and Mr. Grayzel talked about. And congratulations, Sue, for being up here on the dais for the first time. It's lovely having you up here. We're so happy to have you here and working with us, and we're looking forward to many, many more meetings with you. Lastly, I wanted to congratulate Bill Fulch, who was recognized in Atlantic City. And I think, Mr. Ravitz, did you want to say a few words on that?
Yeah, unfortunately, in my public commentary, I had an older version of what I wanted to say, so.
Bill, I'll turn it over to Mr. Ravitz, the chair of the Parks and Rec
I
Committee.
apologize that, and then I'm going to talk about it extemporaneously. Yesterday in Atlantic City, our very own Bill Fulch was awarded a very prestigious honor, the Michael B. Berman Award for Outstanding Excellence in Individual for Administrative Excellence. But there's actually more, because at the New Jersey Recreation and Park Association, which Bill had been involved with for 25 years prior to coming to Morris Township, they had named an award after him. So there actually is a Bill Fulch Award, and I'm looking it up right now. It is for the up-and-comer, Rising Professional of the Year Award. So that is a tremendous achievement for Bill, to be recognized and having an award named after him, and then attaining the Service Excellence Award. So congratulations to our very own Bill Fulch. It's richly, richly deserved. And I want to give him, is he on right now?
He is on, I
So
believe.
Bill, standing ovation for you from me.
Yeah.
Three in 2 nights.
We recess? No.
That's it.
No,
You got double standing ovation last night.
So those who know, like, Bill Fulch is one of those employees who is here, I don't know, 6 days a week till late at night, running the Parks Department, running the pools. He interacts and works with our recreational leagues. He works with our employees. He has put his heart and soul in Morris Township, and is many of the reasons why we have such great recreational facilities throughout the township. So Bill's a gem of Town Hall. He's a gem of Morris Township, and we're just so proud of him for all he's accomplished on our behalf, and everything he's done for us. I think we got an email a few weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, from Bill saying he was at a concert and he already got a prospect for one of the summer series concerts for this year. So he's always scouting entertainment and talent for Morris Township for our residents to enjoy, and thinking outside of the box. So Bill, we appreciate everything you do for us. The recognition down in Atlantic City was so well deserved, and we'll just continue to work with you to make Morris Township an even better place, and I'm sure we'll be recognizing you more thoroughly on this award later on. So with that, I will turn it over to our second public comment and inquiry period for general commentary. If you're a member of the public wishing to speak, please come to the podium or raise your hand. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking, and note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you'd like answered, the remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. And we have 6 members on Zoom with us this evening, and at this point this evening, and 3 members of the public still in the municipal building with us. I see Mr. Goldberg's hand raised.
All right, thank you, Lee Goldberg, 10 Arrowhead Road. Just going back to resolutions 8123 and 8223. Mr. Kidder, I just want to make sure that I heard you correctly. You had referenced a property on Ketch Road, and that was county-owned property that might be considered for the 50 affordable units?
Yes.
Yeah, so Mr. Goldberg, that's Morris Muse area and that kind of property.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah, and so that's county-owned land that I would imagine they would sell to the township, or the township would have to procure from them. Is that accurate?
So some of that's still under negotiation, and it's still kind of a private negotiation. But yeah, there will be some mechanism to transfer the property from the county to the township. That's the thought.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, just from a historical perspective, I know that tract was considered about 10 years ago as when the original Honeywell development was going in for affordable units, and then it was sort of pulled. I think some residents and neighbors had started, raising concerns and questions about it, and then it was pulled. But I just wanted to verify that it was actually the same tract of land. So thank you for that. So thank you for that insight on it. I appreciate it. I'd also like to thank the Township Committee, NV5, and all those professionals that were at the Collinsville presentation at the Unity Charter School. The plans looked phenomenal. It was very informative and well received by many. So thank you for setting that up and making that available for the public to attend. And lastly, I just wanted to thank Deputy Mayor for Public Outreach, Kathy Wilson. I believe that's sort of the new title, for actually sort of living up to that public outreach and communication by having an article published on the 350 Mount Campbell 96 townhome units in the Harding area. And it was very informative. She stuck pretty much to just the facts as I guess she interpreted them, and it was appreciated, I know, by residents and neighbors that I've spoken to, have read it and had some insight on it. So thank you for putting that out there for the public to see. It's greatly appreciated. And, as I think the only member of this body that voted no on the 257 Mount Campbell rezoning, I would encourage you, Deputy Mayor for Public Outreach, Ms. Wilson, to perhaps for your next piece to maybe tackle the 257 Mount Campbell Ave sort of application and development there. So that would be, I think, also a good study for the public to understand what's happened there. So those are my comments. I appreciate the time and attention, and thanks for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the second public portion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Surprised Diane didn't get up, but it's okay.
Rebuttal?
Forget about it.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The only thing left is adjournment. The time is now 8:49 p.m.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next regular Township Committee meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in person and via Zoom. Closed session will be at 5 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Good night.